Hi, this is Mrs. Wiederholt, and welcome to my lesson video on polynomial long division. Now let's get started. Now in this lesson video, please make sure that you pause it and jot down any notes that will help you remember these steps, because when I show them to you in this example, it might seem like a lot. So pause whenever you need to, jot down some extra notes to help. Okay, so here we go. There are two ways to divide polynomials. And one way is long division, and the other way is synthetic division. And in this video, we are going to learn how to use long division. First, let's review some terms that we will be using with long division. You probably haven't thought about these in a while. We have 4x squared minus 9 divided by 2x plus 3. Now 4x squared minus 9 is called the dividend. And the 2x plus 3, what you're dividing by, is the divisor. And of course the answer we get is the quotient. Okay, we need to rewrite this in long division form. We will start out with the divisor, 2x plus 3, and then we will use our long division symbol. And then we will put inside the dividend. Now before we put it inside, I want us to analyze it real quick. We have 4x squared minus 9. Do you see how it jumps from an x squared to a constant, skipping over an x to the first power? So what we will do is when we write that inside the long division symbol, we are going to use 0x to the first power, or 0x, as a placeholder. And it will look like this: 4x squared plus 0x minus 9. Now we are ready to start the division. We do this by taking the first term of the divisor and seeing what we need to multiply to it to equal the first term of the dividend. So 2x times what would equal 4x squared? Now the answer to that is 2x. So above the 0x, I'm going to write 2x. Now I'm going to distribute this 2x to both terms in the divisor, and that will look like this. 2x times 2x is 4x squared. And then 2x times 3 is positive 6x. Now I need to subtract each of these terms from the terms above them. And to help me do that, I go ahead and put parentheses around the two terms and a minus sign. And the reason is I have to subtract each of these terms, not just the 4x squareds. So this is just a reminder for me that I'm not only subtracting the first terms, I'm also going to be subtracting the second terms. Okay, so we have 4x squared minus 4x squared is 0. So basically those cancel out. Now I have 0x minus positive 6x. In other words, that's 0x minus 6x, which is negative 6x. Now I'm ready to bring down the next term, which is negative 9. So I now have negative 6x minus 9. And I am ready to start the procedure again. I am going to look at 2x and say, how many times does 2x go into negative 6x? Or you could say 2x times what equals negative 6x? The answer to that is negative 3. So above the negative 9, I'm going to write negative 3, or minus 3. And I will distribute negative 3 to 2x and negative 3 to positive 3. So when I do that, negative 3 times 2x is negative 6x, and negative 3 times positive 3 is negative 9. Now I'm ready to subtract each of these terms from the terms above. Before I do that though, I want to make a note about minus a negative number. You're going to see that a lot when we do long division. I just want you to remember that when you subtract a negative number, it's the same as addition. So negative 6x minus negative 6x is the same thing as saying negative 6x plus 6x. And the same goes for the negative 9s. Negative 9 minus negative 9 is the same as saying negative 9 plus 9. As we can see, both of these zero out, which means we have no remainder. And because there is no remainder, that means the divisor and the quotient are both factors of our dividend. Before we move to the next example, I just want to also remind you that the term inside the long division symbol is the dividend. The term in front of it is the divisor. And then, of course, the term on top, or as we'd call it, the answer or the solution, is called the quotient. Now for our second example. We have the dividend of x to the fourth minus 3x to the third minus 7x minus 14. And that is divided by our divisor, which is x minus 4. Before we rewrite this in long division form, let's look back at our dividend and check our exponents. We have x to the fourth, and then x to the third, and we're missing x to the second. So that means we will need to create a placeholder for that. And we have x to the first, and then our constant. So we only need one placeholder, and that's for the x squared term. Okay, so let's get started. We're going to look at x, the first term of the divisor, and say x times what equals x to the fourth power? And that answer would be x to the third power. So now I'm ready to distribute this x to the third to both terms of the divisor. And when I do that, I will get x to the fourth, and then x to the third times negative 4 would be negative 4x to the third power. Now I'm ready to subtract each term from the one above. So x to the fourth minus x to the fourth is 0. It cancels out. And then I have negative 3x to the third power minus negative 4x to the third power. And that is going to be positive 1x to the third power. Now you don't have to show the 1, but for teaching purposes I will. Now we're ready to bring down the next term, which will be our placeholder, plus 0x squared. Now I'm going to start the same process over again. I'm going to say x times what equals x to the third power. And that's going to be x squared. So I will write plus x squared over the 0x squared. Okay, now I'm ready for my distribution. I'm ready to say that x squared times x is x to the third power. And that x squared times negative 4 is negative 4x squared. Now I'm ready to subtract. So I have x to the third minus x to the third, and that's going to cancel out because that equals 0. And then I have 0x squared minus negative 4x squared, which is equal to positive 4x squared. So now I'm ready to bring down the next term, and that's going to be minus 7x. And I go back to the divisor, and I say x times what equals 4x squared. And that would be 4x. So over the negative 7x, I'm going to write plus 4x. Next, we will distribute the 4x to each term in the divisor. And so I have 4x times x is 4x squared. And 4x times negative 4 is negative 16x. Now I'm ready to subtract. So 4x squared minus 4x squared is 0, so that cancels out. And negative 7x minus negative 16x is 9x. Now I'm ready to bring down my last term, which is minus 14. I go back to the divisor, the first term in the divisor, and say x times what equals 9x, and the answer to that would be 9, positive 9, so I'll write plus 9. Now I will distribute the 9 to the x and the negative 4. 9 times x is 9x, and 9 times negative 4 is negative 36. Now I'm ready to subtract. I'm sorry, I'm running out of room here, but as you can see, 9x minus 9x would be 0, so that cancels out, and negative 14 minus negative 36 is equal to positive 22. So since we have a remainder for this problem, that means that our divisor, x minus 4, is not a factor of the original polynomial. Now, I know there are a lot of steps in long division of polynomials, but I hope you also notice that there is a lot of repetitiveness. And so I hope this video has helped you understand how to divide polynomials, and I look forward to working with you again. Bye-bye.